The Real Estate Now Podcast, Episode 2. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Real Estate Now Podcast. My name is Jason Reynolds, and this is the podcast dedicated to those looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. The world of real estate is exciting, but it can be a complex, confusing, and sometimes stressful experience. Our goal is to break down the many moving parts of real estate transactions step by step to help you be better prepared in the future. Join us as we share tips, lessons, and information from professionals from your community and around the world. Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Jason Reynolds, and here we are with the Real Estate Now podcast. And today I've got Adam Acevedo. Really excited to have him on today. He's actually owns his own HVAC business here in town, and he is the go-to guy for myself and a lot of my other allies in the business. And so today I asked Adam to jump on in to be with us today. And so without further ado, I've got some questions. But Adam, how are you doing today?
Oh, doing pretty well. Another day in the AC business.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, can you elaborate a little bit more on, we talked before we started recording, but the name of your company, how long you've been in the HVAC business, and how long you've owned your own company here in the area?
Sure. Well, first off, I'm a second generation licensed air conditioning contractor. Been in the business my whole life, going on 20 years now. Wow. I've had my own license and own my own business for roughly 7 years now. And so, the name of my company is Adam A. Acevedo Maintenance Services. I kind of wanted to be a little unique and make sure that nobody could, mistake me for
anybody else,
who I was. Yeah. So, I put it out there, Adam A. Acevedo as the beginning of it so that everybody would know it was me. And that being said, I couldn't deny anything on the flip side. So, I had to kind of own up to everything.
Was it your dad who was originally in the business and got you involved in it?
That's correct. Yeah. My dad's been in the business for over 30 years, and he's a licensed air conditioning contractor who's at the end of his career, kind of toning it down and more geared towards retirement and phasing, out of the tough, grueling work of being an air conditioning contractor. Because I tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. It's a tough job.
So what was the earliest you were working on a HVAC unit?
The earliest I learned how to do brazing and minor electrical work whenever I was 17 years old.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, 17. Yeah, sure was.
You've been doing it a while.
Yeah, my whole life. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm about 37 now, and 38th birthday just around the corner. So,
awesome.
20 years for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I wanted to jump on a few questions and kind of pick your brain. It's a lot of questions, I know I've had and I've asked you, but I know a lot of other people are curious about too. So I'm going to jump through some of these questions. The first one I have is, air filters. Being a real estate agent, I see perfectly maintained air filters that look like they're changed every week, and then also ones that are just clogged like none other. So, can you elaborate on how often do you recommend it, and does it actually impact the life of the unit?
Oh, it definitely does. It definitely impacts the life. The maintenance to the air conditioning is the key. The number one maintenance you can do is the air filter. My recommendations are checking them every 30 days and changing as needed. Okay. So that way, if it is a situation where it needs to be changed, bi-monthly, or sometimes it's a situation that doesn't need to be changed until bi-weekly, even faster, every other week, or, every other month, right, is what I meant to say. But checking them every 30 days and then changing them as needed is always a good practice. I tell everybody, you want to make sure you get a decent grade filter. A pleated, somewhere around MERV 7 is the standard equipment protection grade. And that's ideal from a servicing standpoint. It's definitely something that's right in the middle, protects the equipment. It'll definitely filter, some of the air. A lot of people have higher needs with allergies and what may have you. And so they, upgrade the MERV rating. which is a little higher to accommodate allergy protection and things of that sort. So
Okay.
it's everybody's independent needs. So checking them on a regular basis every 30 days, changing them as often as needed. Once they're dirty, they have to be changed. And then of course picking a good quality filter, which at the minimum I would go with equipment protection at a rating of MERV 7. And then,
Okay.
of course, if you need more, then, get a higher MERV rating, MERV rating on the filter, and I wouldn't recommend any less than that because, the standard would be the equipment protection is what you're looking for.
Okay. So is this in terms of a MERV rating, when I'm going to Home Depot or Lowe's looking for filters, is this somewhere on that box?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's stamped on the side. It's the minimum efficiency rating value, MERV,
Okay.
minimum efficiency rating value, and they're a scale from anywhere from 0 to I think up to, I'm not sure to be honest with you, but maybe 15, something like that. And so you definitely want to depending on your needs, you can adjust, but if you can make sure you're checking them regularly, how often you need to change them, and then go with at least a minimum efficiency of 7 for equipment protection. And if you need more, more, and I wouldn't recommend any less. Some people, if it's just kind of you need they're out of your filters and they have a cheapo one there, it's going to be maybe a MER rating of 4.
Okay.
I definitely use that maybe as a temporary solution, but 7 is pretty good number to go with. And
Okay.
Home Depot is ideal. The True Blue brand is what I recommend. They come in a 3-pack for around $8.97. So
That's not bad.
Good value on the market. There's no reason to not change your filters when they got something that value at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Easily accessible.
Okay. Well, taking that and jumping into, one thing that's, the craze now is smart thermostats, whether that's the Nest or, all the kinds that are out there. In your opinion, working in the HVAC business, do those truly make a difference in terms of energy cost, or is it a matter of how you use it? I mean, is it worth the money in your opinion, or is it more just like a tech gadget?
In my opinion, it's definitely it pays for itself. So it'll definitely pay for itself. Not only in the utility savings, you're able to control it, from your smartphone. The Nest was the industry leader on the smart thermostats, where they were, they're a learning thermostat that will actually,
can tell if you're home or not, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It'll tell if you're home or not. It'll tell you, your preferences for heating and cooling, and when you're away, when you're home, and so it definitely does have energy savings for sure. On top of that, you're able to control it from your phone. You don't have to get up in the middle of the night to turn it on or turn it off. You just grab your phone from the nightstand and, there you go.
Change
so
it.
very convenient. Yeah. And the Nest, like I said, they're the industry leader. They've been around for years. They're, I think, on their 3rd generation Nest thermostat now, which, they're pretty common and readily available, and so everybody's switching to the Nest thermostat. Honeywell has a good line, which is not as fancy as a Nest, but they're all Wi-Fi capable, and so a Honeywell Pro line T6 would be something that's a little bit less expensive than the Nest, but definitely a good buy as well. The Honeywell Pro line, yeah. So no, they're definitely worth the money. They definitely convenient. So, I always do highly recommend them.
So one question I had with smart thermostats, one thing I always think about is, okay, if I get a smart thermostat, I leave the house for, say, the workday for 8 hours. And so, it allows the temperature to fluctuate so the system doesn't have to be on. So one thought I've always had is, well, is it using just the same amount of energy? Because when I come home, it's going to be on for maybe, 30 minutes, cooling the house back down to the level I like, versus, over the 8 hours, maybe being on in increments. So is it still cheaper doing it the way where it's off while you're gone?
Well, I'd never recommend just leaving it completely off, because the amount of energy you're going to have to use on the heavy load that's been built up is going to be pretty high cost, because everything's running at 100% revved up, trying to cool down that temperature. And then of course, you got the comfort factor, which,
Right.
It's going to take half an hour sometimes. We got a really hot day. It's going to take hour plus. And so then in the meanwhile, you're uncomfortable. So I always tell everybody, maintaining a certain temperature throughout the day, is ideal. You want to maybe, raise it up to, maybe 80, 82 degrees, something that's, not nearly as hot as keeping it off all day, because you
Right.
come home and it's 90 degrees in your home. I mean, you're definitely going to
Yeah.
have
You
that
don't want to be
recovery.
home.
That recovery time's going to, be affected. And then of course the machine's running at 100%, trying to cool it down. So, I tell everybody, maybe raise it up 80, 82 degrees, as a constant temperature throughout the day. And that way, when you get home, crank it down to 72 or 75, whatever you like. And the recovery time is going to be shorter. It's not going to be as much as a load on your air conditioner.
Right.
And, it's going to be able to, be more comfortable and not, running at 100%, struggling to try to catch up, when you come home at 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
So, the constant temperature throughout the day, but, raising it not to, don't keep it at the temperature you're comfortable at, raise it up to maybe 80 degrees, 82 degrees, something like that would be ideal.
Gotcha. Okay. So then, going more into systems, and this next one, I'm sure we could talk, for hours on, but if
Sure.
you could just kind of give a general overview of the types of systems in terms of, gas versus electric versus a heat pump, and more specifically, what you as being more efficient for the area we're in, being in
Oh, sure.
the Metroplex in Texas.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll start with gas. Gas is my preferred choice of heating system. When it comes to heating, I prefer gas. Secondly would be heat pump, which is definitely more efficient than just all electric heating. So, if I had to rate them, I would rate them as from an efficiency standpoint would be gas. Secondly, heat pump. Thirdly, all electric system. And so, with that being said, on the air conditioning side, I would always recommend, the air conditioning at least a 16 SEER rating or above, and that gives you, some efficiency, across the board for your air conditioning mode. So that way, the air conditioner can be paired with gas furnace, heat pump, or all electric furnace. So, if you can, get gas. If not, I would definitely choose heat pump over all electric. And then, of course, on the air conditioning side, you want to make sure you have at least a 16 SEER rated equipment or higher.
So do you find that most of the times people, if they have a heat pump, it's because that neighborhood doesn't have gas available?
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
the gas service is not correct available to the development or to the neighborhood, and so it's all electric. But you definitely want to go with heat pump, especially for our climate region. We don't have very cold winters, and so the heat pump is ideal to operate in temperatures between 32 degrees, and 65 degrees is your ideal operating temperature for the heat pump, which is above freezing. And so the heat pump technology is excellent. It saves the heating costs. The electric consumption of the heat pump is a fraction of what the electric consumption of all electric or heating elements that come with the all electric furnace. And
Okay.
so you're probably talking heating costs. Heat pump is easily 40% more efficient at heating over an electric furnace.
Okay. Yeah, because with an electric, you just have a glorified hairdryer, essentially, right?
Exactly. And they are energy hogs, and you turn it on, and you can see your meter just
spinning.
just spinning. Exactly.
So then, I want to move more on to the typical lifespans of systems. So, say somebody were to call you and get a new system installed, tomorrow, and then I want two different kind of scenarios. If they treat
Sure.
it well and change the filters, get it serviced per your recommendations, how long do you see it lasting? And then what's the difference if they just, don't ever call to get it serviced, don't change the filters? What's the difference that you could see in terms of how long it lasts?
Yeah, definitely. The machines these days, they're built to always withstand the life of the warranty, which is a industry standard 10 years. So,
Okay.
And especially more recently, since I want to say, 2010, when the manufacturers, everybody geared up and started really competing for the warranty standard. They all made it at 10 years. So your new machine should last you about 10 years, with proper maintenance, you should be able to change the filter and do some AC spring maintenance and some heating fall maintenance. And, that machine is going to last you a full 10 years with relatively no problems. Of course, everything depends on, usage and, personal preferences and things like that, which are factors that, sometimes people don't use the air that much. It may last them easily twice as much as the warranty, or some people use it, nonstop 24 hours a day, which, you're going to have failure and breakdown because everything mechanical wears out.
Right.
And so, with that being said, you should be able to get the full 10 years out of your, heating and cooling equipment, because it has a 10-year manufacturer warranty. And, even if there were failures or problems, you don't have to worry about that, because the manufacturer has covered you for 10 years for the parts, so, you don't have to, no one's going to be able to tell you, well, you need everything brand new, because you can just, kindly disagree and say, well, I just want the bad parts because they're covered under manufacturer warranty. Exactly. So, about 10 years for a brand new one. Now, let's say on the flip side, somebody, never changes their filter, never, does the spring maintenance, never does the fall maintenance, runs it, constantly and uses it, 24 hours a day, or maybe not 24, but, quite a bit. And kind of, I call it a scenario like just kind of running it to the ground,
Right. Yeah.
I've definitely seen some of that in my experience. And they're roughly a brand new machine that's brand new will roughly last you around 2 years before you have a major mechanical failure. You're talking compressor failure, or, something to that effect, where, it just lack of maintenance and, just run into the ground basically. So, I've seen it about 2 years old machines, and fortunate for them, they were able to, get everything, what was responsible for the manufacturer to warranty, get that taken care of. But of course, there's labor charges and certain things that the manufacturer doesn't cover, like refrigerant loss and installation materials, and so it's still a costly bill. If something to be prevented by having the spring maintenance done and the fall maintenance done, at a cost around $100 a year. You know what I mean? So so you definitely want to take that in consideration. Having them serviced once in the spring, once in the fall. Roughly around $50 a piece per service, and it just ensures everything's running right, everything's working good. That the you're not going to be stuck with any kind of manufacturer defect or anything like that, where they're going to say, hey, we're not going to cover that. It's a lack of proper maintenance or something to that effect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, great. Well, I think, we're coming over 15 minutes now. So, I want to respect that time limit.
Sure.
You
No
touched
problem.
base on the, getting it serviced a couple times a year. So, all this information was great. So one thing is, for those that are listening, how do they contact you? What's the best way to contact you? Phone, email, and if you can share that information with them.
Text is the best way, or email. I can be texted anytime at 817-366-7749, or you can just reach me via email. It's just my name, Adam, Adam. A is my middle initial, and then my last name is Acevedo, Acevedo. Adam A. Acevedo at yahoo.com.
Okay, perfect. Well, Adam, we appreciate you taking the time. And,
you're welcome.
Look forward to doing more business in the future.
Hey, sounds good. Thanks for calling.
All right, you bet.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty, everybody. Well, it's time to wrap up today's episode of the Real Estate Now podcast. Could you do us a quick favor before you go? It only takes about 30 seconds. Head over to iTunes and rate this podcast. This will give us valuable feedback of what content is helpful for you, and it also helps improve our rankings that will make the podcast more visible so other people can find it. Thanks so much for helping us out. If you would like to learn more about real estate and how we might be able to help you, please be sure to check us out at visionsrealty.com. Again, that's visionsrealty.com.